So good afternoon and welcome to Directors Meeting for May 2023. We're so glad to see you and glad that you could take some time out of your afternoon to be with us. We will go ahead and turn the time over to Director Lambert for her director's report not this morning, but this afternoon. So Director Lambert, take it away.
Well, welcome everyone. I can't believe it's already May. We're almost to the end of the school year. It seems, at least to me, that this year's gone by super fast. So I hope it's been a good year for you. This meeting is our last meeting of the school year. Our next meeting will be in August, so we give you a break. We will have one more newsletter coming out before with all the kind of reminders that you need before the summer break that should be coming out in a few weeks. And yeah, so I want to thank Marie for all of her work. I know she does a lot of the behind the scenes work to get these going, making sure that everyone is here to present and so that you can get all of the information that you need. We'll probably send out another survey just to get feedback because we always want to make these meetings meaningful to you. And so if you see that, please respond so that we can make these very meaningful and useful to you. Marie, do you want to go to the next slide?
Yes, I do. We'll go right away.
So we have an exciting employee of the month. It's Amber Partridge, and I know she and her director, Adam from Wallace Stegner, they are here, and I'll turn it over to them in just a moment. She was nominated by the speech language therapist, was that the individual, but just wrote some really great things, and I'll just read it. You can follow along. Amber recognizes that teaching goes beyond getting kids to solve problems on a worksheet. She builds a personal relationship with every student. She knows each of her students' likes and dislikes, things about their families, hobbies, and interests. And she has become a teacher of trust with both her students and their families. With Amber, these students who were previously struggling to sit through a class are thriving and excited to be at school. Amber is an inspiration and a role model of what the teaching profession should look like. And I want to personally thank her for all of the difference that she is making in individual students' lives. And we will be sending her a certificate and a small gift card. And I want to turn it over to Adam. Do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I would love to. So Amber's right here. You guys can see her. She had no idea this was going to happen today. I did not know. So I called and grabbed her, and then her husband's actually right here too.
Adam,
I had this whole long speech I prepared and I was on mute. So here's Amber. She's right here. She had no idea this was going to happen today. Here's her husband, John, as well. I went and grabbed her right before the meeting started and made her sit in my office. You know how tenuous that can be if you have to sit in the director's office for a while and not know what's going on. Anyways, Amber is just amazing. We created a self-enclosed classroom this year, and it was something that we've always hesitated doing because we really wanted kids in the classroom with their peers as much as possible. And this year we had a couple of cute kids that we realized that was not their least restrictive environment. And so we created a self-enclosed room, and Amber is the queen of the room, I guess. She's awesome and amazing. And you walk into this room and it is just this place that is just filled with happiness and joy. And these three kids are just thriving in her classroom. So
there's four.
So they're multiplying. But she's just awesome. She works really, really hard every day to make sure that these kids get exactly what they need, and oftentimes gives up her lunch just so that she can help them with that too. I'm working on her on stopping that, but she's amazing, and we're just very lucky to have her at Wallace Stegner Academy.
Thank you.
Amber, did you want to say anything?
Thank you. I just love these kids. I just do it because I love them. So
She's awesome. Anything else from us?
No, but thank you. And I am super impressed that you were able to keep it a secret and surprise her. I love that. So, but thank you, Amber, and congratulations.
thank you. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
Just as a reminder to everyone, we will start back up the Charter Employee of the Month when we start back for next year. So please look for those nominations so that you can nominate the staff in your school who are just really doing great things, because we know that there's so many of them, and this is a small thing to recognize them, but it's important to recognize when we do good work. So thank you. And Marie, I don't know, do you have slides for my other things?
Yeah, there's just a few more slides, so
Okay.
we'll go to the
So
next one
go
for
to
you.
the- I don't want to get out of order of what you were planning. Okay, thank you. This wasn't the one that I would have done next, so I'm glad that I asked. I just want to make sure that you all are aware. It occurred to me this morning when I saw Ryan Bartlett. He sent out another email, and there was some staff turnover. Mark Peterson, he retired. He's probably back from, I think he was going to go to Italy after he retired, but he retired. The individual that's taken over in sending out the emails is Ryan Bartlett. And so I just want to send a reminder. I would hope that all of you are already getting those, but if not, just make sure he's on your safe contact list and that you do get those emails and you do see those. If you have any questions or aren't sure what email that is, it would be ryan.bartlett@schools.utah.gov. So just make sure you do take care of those. They really put them in a good format that is just straight to the point, let you know who this is for and what, if anything, you need to do. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact Ryan or myself. And then the next.
And then I think we've covered everything except for the baseball game. Just a reminder on that. So I'll jump ahead to that slide.
Okay. Oh, so I already was a little bit out of order. I apologize for that. We've already talked about this before, but I want to make sure that the reminder is more on your radar since we're coming up closer. So June 8th, we are doing a charter day at the Bees, which is the Utah's baseball team. It is the evening game. It is a Thursday night. It starts at 6:35. The State Charter School Board will be recognizing a few schools. What we do is the schools that are up for the 5-year comprehensive review, we select from them based on using data, a few schools that are performing especially well, and we celebrate with them and honor with them. So, but we invite everyone to come and to show their support for charters and for the Bees. You can get discounted tickets. I know that Marie has sent out that, and I'm asking her if she'll send it out again. And then you can send that out to your families, to your community. Anyone with that link can get discounted tickets. Any questions on that? Okay, and then Marie, I believe we're gonna save for the end about our exciting training coming up.
Yes, I did not.
Or do you want me to just talk from memory?
Let's
I
just
can
talk
just-
on that one. I apologize. I
Okay.
did not grab that slide yet.
So the State Charter School Board had made a goal that we would provide or offer, make available to you and to your governing boards, governing board trainings. Now, for some of you who may have been watching some of the legislative bills, there's been talk for the last couple of years up at the legislature that they want to be able to get governing board members more trainings. And there was even a bill, it did not go very far, but where it would require governing board members to get training. Well, what we decided to do is to get ahead of that, and we're not requiring training, but we're offering it, and we're seeking to offer it in such a way that is very reasonable and can it be accessed by individuals who have lives, who are volunteers, for your governing board members. And so I ask that you help us get the word out, but it's also not just for them. You can use it, your staff may find value as well. But we have partnered with Saba, who is, I don't know what kind of firm they are, but they do technology. And I know that Marie and Lisa, and then also Amber, our IT person, have been working very closely with them to develop a platform and training that can be accessed by your governing board members. And I forget what our goal was. It was something like have 20 trainings available by this summer, 10. Well, we just completely blew that out of the water. Marie, remind me, it's like what, 5,000 or
40,000.
40,000 is how many that are going to be available. Now, a lot of those are trainings that we were able to access by linking in with some already developed trainings, but some of them are also very specific to Utah. There are some game features. So those of you who are competitive, you can use that for the kind of the fun, and we're really trying to make it very accessible and enjoyable so that it would be something that is wanted to do rather than waiting for a policymaker or someone else to require it. The training. So we're hoping that it will get some traction. We'll definitely give you some more information at the end of today's meeting, but also as it comes, and we'll be giving your board members information as well. It is going to be accessed through UCAP, so they will already have the ability and the passwords and all of that to be able to access through it. But we're really excited by it. It's going to be a really neat opportunity. And I think at the end of the meeting, maybe Marie, you can show a little bit of a demonstration of what it'll look like, because it's kind of hard to just describe it, but Marie will show you what it will look like. Any questions? Okay, well, enjoy director's meeting, and we'll be here, and I'm going to turn it back over to you, Marie.
Perfect. Thank you so much. All right. Well, we also have Shannon Greer here from the Utah Public Charter School Association. So we will turn some time over to her to announce some upcoming trainings and events that you might want to be taking advantage of. So Shannon, we'll turn the time over to you.
Thank you, Marie. And let me share my screen really quick with the group. There. So a couple of our upcoming trainings, we've got our let me start with the administrative lunch seminar that's coming up, not this week, but the following on the 17th of May. And in honor of Mental Health Month, we've developed this training on how to establish an MTTS school counseling program that can help with student behaviors. So if you'd like to join in on the 17th at noon, we'd love to have you as part of that discussion. And then just by information, our operational training is May 16th for those schools that are involved in that. And we will be discussing creating measurable outcomes, student outcomes. And then we have an FIS training discussion scheduled for May 15th. It's focused for Southern Utah schools. We are in the process of developing something similar for the schools in Central Utah. Our last meeting, our last training, they requested that be in person. So we're still working on that. Stay tuned. As soon as that has been identified, we will let information be shared. And then last but not least, and probably the most exciting thing that we have to discuss today is our summer ACES program. And we understand that change happens in schools, and that as directors move on or as schools expand, they're looking for highly qualified directors to step into these roles. This summer's ACES course is designed to help those who are considering moving into in a leadership position or somebody who just been hired and I have that intent as they begin the school year. We have a kickoff training meeting. It's just a kickoff meeting, Q&A on May 16th. So if you're interested in that, we'll be sending out more information and a Zoom link so that you can join us. The classes are on the 6th and the 7th, and then 3 classes throughout. And I will just a moment, I'll share that screen as well so that you have an idea of what those courses look like. Let's see. I apologize, that has gone away. So let me just share briefly some of those classes that we will be discussing. We'll be working with your school board, discussing teacher ethics, looking at SPED law, looking at funds and developing budgets that are sustainable, learning to work as a collaborative team, and then of course, conducting evaluations and working with your staff. So all of those are pieces that existing directors felt like they could have used a little extra focus on as they stepped into their roles. So if you have somebody in your building or somebody on your staff that is looking at an administrative opportunity, we would love to have them join us for this ACES class. And I know that possibly Marie, if I could share after or follow the link to be able to join that class on the 16th. Would that be okay?
Yeah, that would be great.
Perfect. All right. If you've got any questions, you can reach me at shannon@utahcharters.org, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you have. I'll even drop that into the group chat right now. Thank you, Marie, for giving me the opportunity to share the upcoming trainings with you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Shannon. We appreciate it.
Mhm.
All right. Well, our last little bit this morning, or I keep calling it morning, this afternoon, was our In Case You Missed It. So we'll get into that then real quick. And then we've got our different trainings for our directors meeting today. So with our In Case You Missed It, there is a lot of information as we head into our summer break. So we'll make sure that you have everything you could possibly need. From USBE, there is a required drinking water testing. So making sure that that is on your radar. It's not due until December, but it might be a really great time to get that done during the summer break while the kids aren't in the building. This does come from Rule 309-230. It is a free testing that is provided. However, when they sent this out, they said that 60% of schools in the state have not yet sampled their drinking water. If you have questions about that or want to get set up to do that testing, Dylan Martinez, who's with the Division of Drinking Water, DWD, it said, is who you would need to contact. And I put his email right here. Also to think about and make sure it's on your radar, the school-based mental health screenings, that comes from House Bill 403, and this is a requirement. This one is a lot sooner. This requirement requires you to do something by July 1st. It requires that your governing board has to submit on a survey if you are participating or non-participating as an LEA. So making sure that you have done that. There was a link in an email, and as Jennifer pointed out, that's that important email from Ryan. That's the email that we're talking about. If you need that email resent to you, I have all of these so I can resend them. So there is a link in an email where you can indicate the participating or non-participating, and then questions would be directed to Michelle Knight or Tiana McCall. Adam, I see you're raising your hand. Do you have a question? Thanks for raising your hand. I feel like we're in the classroom.
I feel so special doing that. Hey, it's actually more of a comment. We just did the lead screening, and they don't want your pipes to be dormant for longer than 12 hours. So you actually might want to do it when the kids are in session.
Even better.
Because if they sit dormant for a long period of time, the results aren't as accurate.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Thank you for correcting. That's better information. So
I didn't
your kids in there.
do it. So
maybe if you have summer school going on. Awesome. Thank you so much.
They're pretty quick on those kits. If you just reach out to them, they send them to you like within a week. Like if you really wanted to get it done before the end of the year, it's possible.
Awesome. Did it take very long to do the testing?
No, I mean, they send you a jar or a bottle and you just take that bottle and go to each tap. So you put each tap is labeled and you go to a tap, fill it up, close it off, go to the next one, put a new one up, fill it up, close it off, and then you ship it to them and they give you your results in about a week.
Perfect. It is just the drinking water taps, right?
Yeah. So like if you have a kitchen, the one in your kitchen, and then your drinking fountains and your staff lounge and whatever.
Perfect. Thank you. That was super helpful context.
Yep, no problem.
They also from USBE pushed out about a training called Creating Safety Training of Trainers. This will be on May 22nd, and it's a virtual training. So if you are interested in having people attend that, your contact is Andrea Hood, and I put her email here for you as well on that. Some more announcements from USBE. There's a school counseling and prevention summit. This is coming up June 12th through 13th. This will be at Taylorsville High School. If you do want to have people attend that, the important thing to note is that there is no on-site registration, so you will need to make sure that they have registered ahead of time. Your contacts for that are Tina Morandi or Millie Mortensen. Another USBE announcement was that they are doing a DBT Skills in Schools training, and that DBT is that dialectical behavior therapy, and this training was specifically for working with middle and high school students. This training is taking place June 5th, 6th, and 7th. If you have questions or want to get registered for that, it's Tina Morandi or Kathy Davis that you'll need to reach out to on that one. They're doing an Intermountain AP Summer Institute as well. That's in July, the 11th through 14th at Farmington High School. Your contact on this one is Christopher Hall. I did note that he had a Davis School District email. However, it said that it's open to everyone and they want as many people to come and participate as they can. So it's not just for Davis School District, it's for everybody. So if that's something you're interested in, please sign up and get your information and send your folks to that. Next, they also sent out the Read to Succeed quarterly brief. So if you're curious how that is going from the legislation that passed some information and some requirements there, you can read up on that. It was given just as a general information piece for this quarter. And so it's I think 2 pages. I was looking through that today, just have lots of updates on how the Read to Succeed program is going. If you have questions specifically about what you read, the contact there is Jennifer Thronson. A big one that I saw, and I tried to pull out the important parts, but it all seemed really important. So I'm sorry, it's kind of small here, but really making sure that this was in your radar as well. The letters completion expectations. Those state cohort licenses will begin to expire on October 1st of this coming fall. So if you were in that first cohort, that's really important to note that those cohort licenses for the letters completion will start expiring this fall. You need to remember that your teachers will need to have completed all 8 units of the online learning, the reading, the bridge to practice, and attend 8 units of live sessions. And the next bullet point there, all educators that are in positions that are listed in the code as of November 1st will need to complete the letters requirement by July 1st of 2025. If your educators do not complete the requirement, then it says your LEA will not be in compliance and you will receive corrective action as defined in board rule. Also, that third bullet point there, if your educator is behind and is not able to get this completed before your licenses begin to expire, there is the possibility that you can have a license extended, but it will be at the cost of $100 per license for 1 year. So again, this is a very important one to make sure that that's on your radar and that your educators are aware of the importance to make sure they have their letters training completed. If you have questions on that, Norma Mata or Julie Clark would be who you need to contact at the USBE. The third one over, the SAC applications. The State Board of Education is looking for students for their advisory council. So that would be both 11th and 12th grade students. They would be serving a 2-year term as advisors to the Board of Education. They have a bunch of different openings. I listed them there: District 1, 4, 5, 7, 9, 10, 11, and 15. If you're not sure what district you're in, you can quickly Google that and see. This isn't talking about school district, it's about your district with your board members. So if you're in there, which it's most of the districts there, it'd be great to get some charter school kids that are serving as SAC representatives. If you have a question on that, the contact there is Greg Cannell. And then another page of updates from the USBE. They did send out an updated elementary literacy curriculum list. I know this has been kind of a hot topic from Senate Bill 127 that talks about the details of when you have to have evidence-informed core and supplemental evidence-based intervention curriculum adopted. And so that curriculum review committee has met and has updated that list. So if you need to review that, that list is as current as it is going to be for right now. I know that that committee will be meeting again, but if you have questions on what is currently on the list, you can review it or contact Sarah Wibke and she can help you in addressing those questions. Additionally, the Cadence reading vendor applications, those are due this month by May 31st. The second bullet point down there, it's really important that you only turn in one application per LEA. So this did go out, they said, to your literacy coordinators, your testing coordinators, and to directors. So making sure that you have coordinated within your school as to who is going to be submitting that. And so that they're not sending in multiple responses. This is really important so that you can choose who is going to be your Acadience reading vendor for the coming school year. So please make sure you get that in. And the third one over, there is some vacancies on the Utah Professional Practices Advisory Commission. And those vacancies, they anticipate to be starting July 1st. And so if you are interested in serving on that Professional Practices Advisory Commission, they did have an attached memo that talked about who they're looking for and the application. So if that's something you're interested in, again, we can resend you that email or you can contact Ben Rasmussen and get that information. The last one from USBE I thought was so important. I put it on its very own slide. So bear with me here. This is one of my favorite ones to talk about, the Teacher of the Year. I serve on this committee with USBE, and it is one of my very favorite assignments. And last year, it was so exciting. We finally had a charter school teacher that made it into the top 5. And it had been quite a while since that had happened. Unfortunately, she didn't win, and it was still great to have her in the top 5. And we have wonderful, wonderful educators around the state. But we would love to have even more teachers from our charter schools make it into that top 5, that top 3, even maybe the Teacher of the Year. This is that really exciting one that is for the USBE. So this isn't the one that the associations do. This is the one for the Utah State Board of Education. And what happens after this one is that whoever is chosen as that Teacher of the Year actually goes on and represents Utah at the national level and gets to then compete against the other 50 states and become maybe like the Teacher of the Year for the nation. And it's also really fun at this Teacher of the Year. They end up having all the Teachers of the Year from the past years and years come each year, and they become this cohort. And so as they get together, you'll see Teachers of the Year from the 90s and the 80s and the 70s, and it's just a really, really cool experience. So I would love to be able to get some of our charter folks into this space. I don't know if that's, something that you have a goal of either, but we've got so many great things happening in our charter spaces, and I think that they deserve that great recognition. So what happens here, you can see those dates. April 24th is when they begin to accept nominations. I recognize that's a few weeks ago. June 1st is the nomination deadline. So we've got a couple weeks here. June 2nd is when USPE will email each nominee an invitation and the application materials. So what happens is if you as the LEA nominate someone, then it's up to that teacher to actually complete the application themselves to apply for Teacher of the Year. Within that, they're going to be submitting a headshot and writing a number of paragraphs about themselves and really putting together like a portfolio of here's who I am, here's my ideas, here's why I should be Teacher of the Year. And then that June 30th is when their application is due as well. As you can see, that second space, every school district and every public charter school is encouraged to nominate someone. We have a number of charter schools that do always turn someone in. We also have a number of charter schools that never turn someone in. So we would love to at least have you turn in somebody. It's one nomination from each school district and public charter schools, so your LEA. They say to avoid your duplicate nominations, please coordinate before you send that to USPE. And then of course they will contact that Teacher of the Year. You might also want to make sure that if you are submitting a name that person knows that it's up to them then to fill out that full application. A few other notes, making sure that they're an active classroom teacher. And as you see that red star, someone who's not planning on retiring or moving into an administrative position, because it does need to be a teacher and someone who's planning to stay as a teacher. A few other points there, someone who's an expert in their field, who has an ability to achieve excellence, who collaborates well, who helps create a strong school culture, who connects well with the students in their classroom and with key stakeholders, who demonstrates leadership and innovation, and who expresses themselves in an engaging and articulate way, because again, they would be representing the whole state, and they're going to have teaching and speaking engagements throughout the state and throughout the nation. So really making sure it's someone who can represent your school and our state and everything really well. So if that interests you, send someone in. We would love to meet them and talk with them. Then we have a few other announcements from the State Charter School Board. We had our board meeting last month. We reviewed a waiver request regarding the SCSB's, or not the SCSB, sorry, the USPE's School Climate Survey. I will update that before I send this out. We also reviewed our budget and financials, and the SCSB worked on their strategic plan. As Director Lambert mentioned, our directors meetings will start back up in August. Our employee of the month, make sure you get your nominees in. We've loved that we still are getting great nominations from our directors, but we're also starting to get nominations in from parents and other employees of the school. So thank you for sharing that with your school community. We love getting that. And then we do have an ask from you. You're going to be getting an email today. It'll be from me, but it's written by Ed Direction, and we need your help because we are starting to put together our charter seminar program for next year. And we're thinking about moving in a little bit of a different direction. And as you can see here, given the trends of some of the enrollment declines that we're facing and where we've got the voucher program that'll be coming on, we really want to make sure that charter schools are positioned to innovate in their programs and to ensure that you can continue to provide high quality education to classrooms full of students. And so as we are looking at that, what we would like to do is plan 3 or 4 sessions that are really responsive and unique to your community about where you are at in your innovation, whether that's planning, whether that's implementing, whether that's tracking and looking at, is this a successful innovation or not in our school? And it could be a big innovation, it could be a small innovation. Like, where are you at? Are you trying to figure out what you need to do? How do you pivot? Are you trying those things? Are you tracking things? You know, what space are you at in that? And so as that survey comes out today in that email that I'll send on their behalf, please fill that out, indicate your level of interest in being part of that innovations cohort, and sharing some ways that we can support your school so that we can figure out what is the best way to support you next year. If you feel like, nope, we don't want to innovate anything, everything is going so well at our school, we don't want to change a thing, that's also great. Give us that feedback as well, and we will make sure that, you know, that's something that we won't be bothering or bombarding you with either. So please help us as we are trying to put together and be responsive to you and your needs for your school. And then finally, as Director Lambert also mentioned, we did just want to throw that teaser in here about the GBOT, the Governing Board Online Training. It's our learning management system. It's coming. It'll be launching summer 2023. This is that landing page where you will get to log in. We will have some trainings on that and make sure that everyone knows how to access those 40,000 trainings. There will be, of course, some that are already created, as well as ones that are created by the State Charter School Board. As we talked about, it is a micro-credentialing training system for governing boards. It'll also be something that you can access as directors, that individuals at your school can access if you would like to give them those permissions as well. When you get in there, it'll say, welcome, let the learning and games begin. We're going to have points and gamification and badges. So there'll be some incentives to play and to see, you know, what sort of points you can earn and badging systems that we can then, you know, use moving forward. And then as you get in, you will also have your plans summary where you can see what you've done, your learning, you'll have your leaderboard. And another thing that I think will be really a great point for you as directors is that with this will take a lot of the like having to remember things for your board. Like, when did your board last do their OTMA training? You don't have to remember that. You can put it in here and it will automatically remind you each year that, oh, my board needs to do their OTMA training, and you can just push it out through here. Or, you know, when did I last, you know, do this training for my staff? You can record it in here and you can push it out through here. So it's really going to help, you know, automate all the different things that you're trying to do, and hopefully take some of that burden off of you of trying to have to remember different things or trying to have to create so many different things, and hopefully then give you that gift of more time to be able to be that educational leader at your school and not have to spend the time in those administrative tasks of, you know, keeping track of the time or creating those materials yourself. So hopefully you're excited. This is just that tiny little teaser. We will have lots of information and training coming out about it. So we'll make sure that you feel ready and excited before we turn it over and let you run with it. But that's all we have for in case you missed it. Thank you. I'm sorry that was a little bit long today, but we won't see you again till August. So a lot to get through. Chris, I know, thank you for saying that. It is awesome. We're so excited for it. So thank you for the enthusiasm. Okay, well, I think we've got Krista here. Krista and the team from the early literacy I'm sorry, I'm probably messing up all my words. I feel like I'm tripping over words today. Sorry, friends. Our early literacy information and updates is next on our agenda. So Krista, I'm going to turn it over to you and the team to take it from here.
All right. Thank you, Marie. And is it okay if I share my screen? We have.
Please do. Yeah,
Okay.
you should have permission.
Awesome. Thank you. Before we get started, I'll just do a quick introduction of the team. So I am Krista Hotelling. I'm a K-3 literacy specialist with Utah State Board of Education. With me is Christine Elegante, who's also a K-3 literacy specialist, and Julie Clark, also a K-3 literacy specialist. Molly Basham is our early math specialist. She could not be here with us today, but at the end, we'll have a slide that has all of our contact information. So if there's any questions about early math, you'll have her contact information as well. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And so we're just going to go over, it's become a yearly thing for us to hop into your charter director meeting about April or May to just kind of give the reminder about the early learning program. And so we're going to start with, I'm going to pass it over to Julie, and she's going to get us started with just some reminders.
Hi, thank you for having me today. And I'm Julie Clark, and as Krista said, a K-3 literacy specialist. And also, I'm just going to, before we get started about the early learning program, I'm just going to kind of add to what Marie was saying a little bit earlier about the letters. So I'm one of those contacts that if you have questions about letters and your teacher's letters completion, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Go ahead and send me an email. Also, if you didn't realize that you had access to a dashboard to follow up and follow what your teachers are doing and how they've completed and what they're working on. If you didn't know that you have a dashboard, get in contact with Sarah White and Marcy Hausman, and I'm going to drop their emails in the chat box for you. They can help you navigate the dashboard into being able to track your educators as they go throughout their letters completion, so you can see what they've done so that you can follow up with them. So it's really great. If you didn't know you had a dashboard, you do have a dashboard, you have access to all of that information, and Marcy and Sarah are great to help in navigating through and learning how to use that dashboard. And you can send emails to your participants through there and everything. They've got a lot of really neat features in that dashboard. Okay, so now to our early learning program. As a reminder, our early learning program consists of 3 parts. And on the application, there is the early literacy section, the early math section, and the goals section. So in the early literacy and in the early math section, we are looking for that evidence-informed and evidence-based Tier 1, Tier 2, and Tier 3 curriculum. We're also looking at your math assessments that you're giving and your literacy assessments, the screeners and the diagnostics on what you're doing to and how you're using those assessments to drive your instruction. And then in the goals section, Krista, if you want to go ahead and go to the next slide's about the goals as well, so we can just kind of talk about it in one slide. There are 5 goals, but the first 2 are the state growth goal for literacy and for math. So, and our state growth goal for both of those are 60% making typical progress or better, and on either Acadience literacy and Acadience math. So you have to meet the state growth goal for both of those. And then the other goals are your 3 local goals. And these are the goals that you write and include in your application. And one goal needs to be for literacy, one goal needs to be for math, and then the third goal can be a choice of yours, either literacy or math. And when writing these goals, we want you to focus on your historical data that you have. So we look back at that 3 years of longitudinal data. And we realize for math, you only have, this year is your second year. So you're just going to kind of use your first year and then this year's data to help you create your goals for math. So we want you to look at that data, identify areas where you can improve, and then write your goals based off of that. And then we will be going over all of these different pieces during our LIT training. And I know Christine's going to talk about LIT training toward the end of the meeting. And we will walk you through writing those goals and looking at the data to help creating goals that are best of a benefit for your LEA and putting those in your plan. And then I think I'm passing it over to Krista.
Thank you, Julie. And about the data piece of it, next week we will be sending out the data collection analyzing sheets that we always send out before LIT training. So we have let anybody that's on our literacy director email list, we've let them know that that's coming next week. But just so that you know as well that this email will be coming through with those attached data sheets. There's a longitudinal one for literacy, and then a submeasure one for literacy, and then we've also put together for math. So there'll be 2 different sets of sheets, one for literacy and one set for math for you to collect that data and do your data review before lit training. So those will be coming next week in an email. So speaking of goals, I just wanted to go over a little bit about the system of support. As we've added math, this has kind of gone through a little bit of a change. So we've been doing a lot of reminders this year about what this will look like. So as a reminder, it's 2 consecutive years of not meeting goals, and we'll put you into into the system of support. That first year of not meeting your goals, we are calling that an internal action year, which means at the LEA level, working internally to see what some things can be implemented to increase those literacy and now math outcomes. And the early learning team, myself, Julie, Christine, and Molly, we're available to provide support to those LEAs that are in the internal action year at any time that you are needing that support. The second year consecutively of not meeting the goals, then you enter into the system of support, and that is where you start meeting with the early learning team. Usually 3 times a year, we meet to look at, do a data dive based off your Acadience reading and math data, and then also to attend that lit training that we do in the summer. So starting with the 23-24 school year, so that's using our 22-23 data, your LEA could be entering the system of support for literacy, math, or both if goals are not met. So if you end up entering into the system of support for math during the 23-24 school year, math will be an internal action year only, because this will be the first time that math data is being used to make that decision. For literacy, you could be in the internal action year 1, 2, or 3. We've been having our literacy system of support up and running a little bit longer than math has. So we have some different levels when it comes to literacy. If your LEA is currently in the system of support for literacy, so it could be internal action year 1 or year 2, you can exit the system of support for literacy by meeting the state growth goal for literacy and at least one of the local goals. So once goals are met, you could exit that next school year. So we've kind of put this together on this slide as a quick review kind of thing. So LEAs need to meet their state growth goal for literacy, the state growth goal for math, and at least one of those local goals, so literacy or math. And as Julie said, there's one required literacy goal, one required math goal, and that third goal is the LEA's choice. So one of those local goals need to be met. Now, we know that with the addition of math, this has added a whole new realm for us as well. And so we did create, we call it our system of support flow chart, went through all the different kinds of scenarios that could happen in order for an LEA to be entering into the system of support or exiting the system of support. So I will add that link to that into the chat box for a quick access for anybody who would like to be able to follow that through. This is our first time doing it with math, so if by chance something new pops up, we'll add it in there, but we've tried to go through every scenario that we could think of that could happen. So we will make sure that that link goes into the chat box here in just a minute. The next slide I want to share with you is just a reminder of the timeline. So this year we are doing pre-approval again. And so that will start right after lit training all the way through August 1st. So any plans that you want to submit for pre-approval have to be in by like 11:59 on August 1st. So just keep that in mind. If it comes in at 11:59, we'll check it August 2nd. If it comes in at 12:01, we'll end up having to send it back and let you know that you are following the approval path. But as part of the pre-approval path, your lit team will go ahead and complete the plan. Remember, there are 4 different parts to the plan. And anytime from lit training to August 1st, you can email to the early learning email, and we will review it and provide feedback. And this can go on many times throughout this until the plan is pre-approved. we will email you a pre-approved plan. Once we get it and everything it follows what is required on the plan, we will send an email and say, this has been pre-approved. It is that pre-approved plan that will go to your local board. So as part of pre-approval, you only will have to go to your local board once for approval. And then when it's time for you to submit through pre-approval, all that you would put into Utah grants then at that point in time would be your budget and your minutes from your local board approval meeting. We will upload your pre-approved plan and put your goals into Data Gateway for you. So as part of the pre-approval, we take care of that. We just need from you your budget and your minutes from your meeting. What also helps you with that is when it comes to if there's revisions needed, the only thing that would need to be revised by an LEA who goes through pre-approval could be their budget. There might be some things that need to be revised to make sure that the funds are being used appropriately. Or if for some reason the local board minutes didn't come through, or for some reason, sometimes we get more of the agenda when we actually need the minutes, then you might just have to revise that part of it, but you would not have to look at your plan again. Well, you have to look at your plan, but you wouldn't have to worry about it in Utah grants. We would take care of that, and your goals would be in Data Gateway. If you follow the approval plan, the approval pathway, you submit into Utah grants everything. So that would be your budget, your minutes from your board meeting, and then your plan, and you would have to also enter your goals in Data Gateway. And then we would review it, and that all has to be before by September 1st at 5 p.m. We would review it at that time, and any revisions that need to be done, we would let you know. And in that case, it could be your budget, it could be your the goals. If it's your plan, you have to know that that plan has to go back to your board for approval before you can submit again. So we would check it, make sure it's meeting the requirements, and then back to your board again to be approved again because it has been changed. So the pre-approval prevents that, kind of helps prevent that, because we're making sure you're going with a pre-approved plan. Whereas approval, there's a possibility of more things that would need to be revised after that September 1st due date. So this timeline just kind of goes through. We're going to be doing LIT training June 8th or June 13th. So when Christine's going to go over how you can get registered for that, or to make sure that your LIT team is registered for that. Pre-approval, like I said, anytime from LIT training, after LIT training to August 1st. And you'll be able to email your draft to the early learning team, and we will email with you back and forth of things to make sure that it's meeting those requirements that are in code and board rule. And then submission of the early plan. So this would include the budget, local board approval minutes, and the plan in Utah grants by September 1st. And then we do have on here the professional learning grant. Julie's going to talk a little bit more about that as well. Has that September 1st due date. Submission of goals in Data Gateway by September 1st. As I said, if you go pre-approval, we take care of those goals for you, and we also upload your plan for you. You just have to make sure your budget and your board minutes are in there. And then any revisions that are after that September 1st deadline, any revisions that need to be done after September 1st, they are due in Utah grants by October 15th. As a note, this always falls along the same time as fall break. So just keep that in mind. Usually it feels like a rush for some of our LEAs that need to get things in because fall break comes and not everybody is around. And we do not like to send out the message that, hey, you missed a deadline and here's corrective action. So we try everything we can do to make sure that we're sending out lots of reminders. But if any of these due dates are missed, the September 1st for your plan and the goals and Data Gateway, and then if there's revisions October 15th, there is corrective action for any of those dates that are not met because they are in board rule. So keep that in mind as well, that with these dates, it's important that we are following those dates and getting everything submitted. So September 1st, everything needs to be in there. Revisions can be until October 15th, but you can't revise until after September 1st. So know that that September 1st is a hard deadline for everything to be submitted. And then October 15th comes after we have reviewed your submission for revision. So that does not go into effect until after everything has been reviewed in Utah Grants September 1st. So to help with a lot of this, we have created some different documents, and we will be sharing these with the teams that attend LIT training. After LIT training, we do send out a recording and a link to the folder that will also have everything in it. So that will come out to all of our LEAs after LIT training. But we do provide a timeline that kind of goes over the dates you can check off as you're following the timeline, so you can make sure that you are hitting all those dates. So we do have that. We also will be providing at LIT training the 2 pathways. And it kind of, you can go through and you can check off again. This is actually a much longer document than it looks like. It is a few pages long because we put in reminders about getting to your local board meeting, what happens if a revision is needed. So it is much longer, but you can go through, and it does provide links to the different documents that will also be shared at LIT training. And then we also have the plan template is in the works. We're just making a few minor revisions to some of the wording and things like that, updating some of the links. So this will be ready at LIT training as well. That's the first time that we'll get it to LEAs. You will notice that it will probably look very similar. We're just changing some words and things like that, updating based off of some feedback and things like that. So this will be coming to everybody at LIT training as well, that template to put your plan together. And then I'm going to pass it back to Julie now because we're done talking about the early learning plan. I will make sure I get that link in the chat box, and Julie's going to talk about the professional learning grant.
Yeah. Okay, so the professional learning grant is it is separate funds from the early literacy program funds. So these are completely separate. It's it is a separate grant application this year, like it was last year. It is available to every LEA with teachers in grades preschool through 3rd grade. And the intent is to provide that evidence-based ongoing job-embedded professional learning for teachers in either early literacy or early math, or if you want to, you can do it in both. These funds can be used to cover stipends for teachers to attend the training. It can be used to cover presenter fees. It can be used for job-embedded coaching supports, substitute costs for your teachers to attend the professional learning, or to hire a coach or a specialist who works with and supports grades preschool through 3rd grade in either early literacy, early math, or both, or supplies and materials for the teachers to attend the professional learning. Funds cannot be used for the purchase of property, the purchase of equipment, other services. And I get a lot of questions like, what are the other services? And the other services are like providing food or lunch for those that are attending the professional learning. They can't be used for those types of things. Also can't be used for transportation, for buses, for students. Just throwing that out there. No reason why it should be, but sometimes I got asked that question. So just making it clear, it can't be used for that. And it also cannot be used to provide, purchase student materials or student supplies, or travel related expenses for attending the professional learning. Krista, can you change the slide? This is just a screenshot of the first page of the professional learning grant. The application is going to be exactly the same as it was last year. We've just updated some links and some, we have added some additional examples of literacy professional learnings that you can engage with, that may be that we include on the application to look into, that we've already kind of reviewed and we know would fit within the guidelines of what needs to be done for the professional learning grant. The professional learning grant, we are going to open the application as soon as we're done with LIT training. You will receive the application. We'll talk about it at LIT training. It will be available then. If you're choosing to use it for letters, we have a template already created And that will be given out during lit training as well, that you can just slap your name on the top and check the assurances at the bottom and send it on in if you're using it for letters. Also, we will have a look for's document available for guidance in completing this professional learning grant application as well. And that's kind of it that I have about the professional learning grant. Again, we'll go into a lot more detail about it during our lit training that Krista talked about. And I think I am going to pass it over to Christine.
Julie, there was a question in the chat. They
Yes.
were asking if it could be used for university course fees.
No, it cannot. It has to be a professional learning tied to early literacy or early math, and it can't be used for going and getting like a master's degree. It cannot be used for courses like that. So.
Okay, so we're going to move on to lit training, and I'm going to just drop in the chat box the way you can register for lit training. It is held, we have 2 days. You can pick either one. It's June 8th from 9 to 3 or June 13th from 9 to 3. Both of the sessions are going to be virtual. And I put that link in where you can register in Midas. And it's for early literacy, early math, and to help fill out that early learning plan. And as just a reminder, it is mandatory for any of our LEAs that are attending or in our system of support. All right, so then you're probably wondering, well, who should be attending lit training? If you're new, we kind of have broken it between required members and maybe optional members. We understand that there is a variety of roles and responsibilities that those who are working in a charter school will have a lot of hats. So you may be the person who has 3 of these hats that you wear, but really for the required training, our lit team members, literacy director is a really important one. Same with your mathematics director, just because both of those are part of the plan. Assessment director would be a great person to have, your special ed person, your director or your principal. And then we have some optional members as well if you're looking to add a few more people into the mix for that lit training. And then we've also included all of our contact information. When Krista introduced us, we are the K3 literacy specialist, Krista Hotelling, Christina Elegante, and Julie Clark. And then we also included Molly Basham as she is our early mathematics specialist. So we have all of our email information right there. And maybe Krista will put that in the chat for me. And we went through that quite quickly, but if you come to lit training, you'll get all of that information in a much more detailed way. And we have some fun things we're going to share at lit training about some extra support we're going to be offering for our LEAs to really help them through this process. And we look forward to it. So does anyone have any questions for us? I love it. It means we're getting better. I mean, every year that we do something, you know, we do make a few minor tweaks and changes, but it means we're getting much better at it as it's not as new anymore. So if you have any questions, seriously, feel free to reach out. We are more than happy to help support all of you. And thank you.
All right. Thank you, Christine and Krista and Julie. It was so good to see you and to hear all about the updates with early literacy. So thank you so much. And early math too, I guess. Tell Molly we missed her. All right. Well, moving right along. Next, we have Kelly Openshaw here, who's going to be talking about U Science. So we will turn the time over to Kelly.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for having me here today. It's such a pleasure to present to all of you. And I'm going to be talking about U Science and BrightPath, which is our comprehensive career guidance platform that can help your students from 6th grade all the way up through 12th grade and beyond. And everything that I talk about today is available to you right now. I work with the legislature and get this funded each year, so it's available to all of our public schools. And so if you see something you like, I'll give you our contact information at the end. We'll get you trained and you can get started on it literally today if you'd like to. So U Science, just as a quick background, we actually came up through Precision Exams, which is the company that does the certifications for CTE classes. And a few years ago, we merged with UScience, which brought on an aptitude-based career guidance platform. And it's got some really amazing aspects to it. We really want to help our students as they run through their career planning journey. The first thing we do is we work with discovering their aptitudes and helping them understand their natural talents and how they relate to careers in the future. And then we provide you as counselors, teachers, administrators, and the students a way to do some thought work on your education and career plan. So a student can go in and put some notes in their profile. There's a course planner, there's a resume builder. There's a lot of information in there to help them as they move through their years preparing for graduation. Obviously, the certification piece, if they're taking CTE courses, getting that certification. And then in addition, we want to connect them to their future. So through work-based experiences, understanding what they're learning and how that connects to future education opportunities, and then also local employers in the area who are looking for students as their future talent down the road. Also, we have amazing data that's available for you as well to help make decisions for your school as well as for your individual students. And then if you really love what you see and you want to take it to a different level, we've also got customized coaching that's available to kind of help guide you through using the BrightPath. So let's talk just a little bit about aptitudes. Why are aptitudes important? Well, for so long, we've always done career planning with students based on their interests. There's no other company out there besides us that uses aptitudes with students to do their career planning. And the problem is everybody's been using interest surveys. Well, you guys work with students every day, the things that they're interested in, social media, music, friends, sports, all those things. If we're giving them career recommendations based on their interests, we're going to have a pretty limited view of what they can actually do in the future because there's so many things outside that bubble. In fact, I have a coworker whose daughter came home from school one day and she's like, I'm so excited. I know exactly what I'm going to do when I grow up. I took this interest survey and it told me I could be an ER doctor or I could be a vet. Now that's awesome. But the parents looked at each other and kind of rolled their eyes because guess what she watches every day after school when she comes home. So makes sense that she would be interested in those kinds of careers. And let's be honest, if we went off of my interest, I should be an astrophysicist because these are the things that I'm interested in right now. So we need to get just a little bit out of our interest and start seeing where our talents are. So what we do something different. We actually provide a series of brain games that help students see the kinds of talents that they have. And so you can see here, we're going to run through a couple of examples here. This does sequential reasoning. So how talented, where's your talent there? We also go through inductive reasoning, 3D visualization, spatial awareness, numerical reasoning. But what we're doing is we're pulling out those talent sets from our students and helping them recognize that they have that and how it connects to a career. Now, not everybody's going to be good at every single thing. And so it's really important when your students are taking these assessments that they understand that some of them are going to be like torture, because if it's not aligned with a natural talent, it's going to feel awkward and clunky, like writing with their non-dominant hand. But there's also going to be a bunch of exercises that will be fun. They may be challenging, but they're fun because it feels more comfortable. It's aligned with their natural talents. Once they're finished with their assessment, they will have a profile that's set up. And what I love about the profile is we use positive language. We're always encouraging our students. We're always empowering them to understand more about themselves in a positive way. So they'll be able to go through and review their aptitudes at any time, all of their talent sets. If they're taking CTE courses, their certifications will show up in their profile. They can go and explore best fit careers. They can explore colleges. They can see local employers that are looking for students like them. And then they can also use this describing you section, which is awesome. If you guys ever have to write a letter of recommendation, in this section, there are power statements, power words that align to those students' capabilities. Makes it very easy for them to talk about themselves and for you to talk about them as well. The reason this is important is if we do career guidance just based off of interest surveys, those top career recommendations skew towards social and artistic careers. Totally makes sense. That's the bubble they live in. But When we do career recommendations based off of their aptitudes, you can see that we push out of that bubble and actually show students they have the talent for more technical fields. We still want students going towards social and artistic, but we want the ones that actually have the talent for it. This is really important to women and to our diverse populations. We all know that women tend not to be as interested in technical fields. That's not a big surprise to anybody. But what may be a surprise is how much talent they actually have in those technical fields. When we take aptitudes into consideration, it really levels the playing field. And sometimes just knowing they have the talent to do something empowers women to pursue something that they may not have considered before. Same holds true for our diverse populations. In this particular study, we were looking at students with an interest and an aptitude for technical fields. And you could see interest level kind of 50-50 among that group. But when you looked at the aptitudes, you can see there's so much talent across all populations. So again, just helping our students understand and see that there's a lot more than the bubble that they may currently live in, and it just exposes them to other opportunities. This is just a quick example of some LinkedIn posts from some students who had posted their results, and I love this. I never in my life saw myself in any of these job positions. Neither did I know I have the skills to succeed in these job positions. I've never considered becoming a nurse, but I will definitely look into it. Again, just helping them see a little bit bigger. So then we also have the education and career plan. This is designed to help counselors, to help people who are working individually with students kind of go through some thought work as they go through their results. And so they can go through some different reflections on their aptitudes, on their careers, what they're thinking about with college, and then put together a course plan. So imagine if you're with an 8th grader and you're able to talk to them about some planning. Hey, we can see that you've got these kinds of aptitudes. Here's some classes you could consider. Let's pencil some of these in so you don't forget when you register a year or two down the road. And then we also have a resume builder where we can take those describing you sections, take those talents, and then actually plug those into a resume. A couple of examples. This is actually my son. He was getting ready to register for 8th grade. And I said, hey, before you finish that, will you just go look at your U-Science results? So he took a couple of minutes, went through and was reviewing them. And as he looked at different careers that popped up, I was sitting in the room and all of a sudden I hear him say, astronomer, that's so cool. I love space. I didn't know that. So then he said, aerospace engineer, that would be so cool. And so it was really fun to see him do that discovery. And all of a sudden I saw his face kind of go from the screen to his elective sheet, from a screen to his elective sheet, to kind of fine tune and figure out the classes he may want to take down the road. He was even more over the moon when his older brother told him, hey, did you know there's an astronomy class at high school? Something he could have put into the notes in his ECP file to remind him to take that class down the road. This is my niece. She is a ballerina and a total teenage girl through and through. But when she took her U-Science, if you see some of these different careers that came out, sheriff, criminal investigator, all the things that you would not associate with a teenage girl. And so my sister and I were kind of texting back and forth about this. Well, then my sister took a picture of her planning sheet for high school. Right at the top, law enforcement. Do you think she ever would have thought to take that if she had not seen some of those results in her U-Science profile? So again, it just expanded her mind to what she has the potential to do. All right, the industry certifications through the CTE classes that are offered. The USBE, there's tons of classes, CTE pathways, things like that. But just remember that these CTE classes can also be electives in your schools as well. If you don't have enough to do a full pathway, by all means, let the students have opportunities for electives in some of these areas so they can explore different careers. They'll earn a certification. On the back of the certification is a reminder of what they've learned. Again, great content as they're looking at resumes, college applications, interviews, because they can speak to the skills that they've learned in some of their CTE classes. All right, some of those connection points, work-based experiences, education, and employers. Take a quick look. In the platform, we have a whole work-based experiences platform. So if you have any kind of internships, career fairs, job shadowing, things like that that are helping students explore their careers, now you have a platform to help you manage that. For those of you who do it, it's oftentimes spreadsheet and Post-it notes. And so now you have something, a place to contain that will also work with the aptitudes of the students. So you're getting a lot of great information to make sure you give a good match. For our education connections, students can come in and they'll be able to see all sorts of opportunities. If I can get this to play here. Anyway, it's not going to play. Anyway, they can come in and they can explore all sorts of education opportunities. They can explore local schools, they can expand nationwide, they can sort schools by program or major, they can look at everything from four-year college to private colleges to private business type companies if they wanted to go to a hair school, if they wanted to go to a private nursing school. We have the technical colleges, 2-year, 4-year, everything is included in here. So they can see that there's multiple pathways to get them where they may want to go in the future. In addition, we also have our employer connections, and we have a ton of local employers that are part of this. When the student goes into their account, they can search employers and colleges by aptitude, by interest, by the certifications they've earned. Again, making what they're doing in school right now so much more meaningful as they're starting to look into the future. All right, so what's in it for you guys? I've talked about all the awesome things for the students, but there's some great information available to you as well. We have tons of data and reports that can help you not only when you're in front of an individual student, but also looking bigger picture as well. So this is an example of an individual student summary sheet. And then this is also an example of something that would be bigger picture for a school. Now let's see what that actually means. If you're sitting down with a student, wouldn't it be handy if you're doing some career planning or even some class planning to know where their natural talents are and where their interests are? It's a lot easier to direct a student to elective classes or to specific programs when you know the kind of industries they have a good fit for. My 7th grade son, again, looking at his aptitudes and his interests, it's way easier to choose electives when we have that information rather than relying on what all his friends are taking. All right, one of the things I always tell people is, when at your schools, your top 10% of your kids and your bottom 10% of your kids. But what happens is a lot of times that 80% in the middle often get overlooked and don't get a lot of individual attention. When you utilize their U Science report, it gives them a chance to be seen individually, and it doesn't take a lot of effort on your part. We're doing all the work in the background. So this is a way to pull that 80% forward and get them involved. One of the ways you can do that is you can run reports that'll help you know what opportunities to provide your students. So if you have a health science program, maybe you're trying to fill a HOSA team or a HOSA group, you can actually pull up your student body and see which students have an aptitude or an interest for health science. That's a great marketing tool where you can then go to those students, send them a quick note saying, hey, you've got the aptitude or the interest, come and get involved in HOSA or come take this health science class. So lots of great information there. In addition, if you are looking at career fairs, we know that our resources are limited. We can't send everybody to everything, but if we can start fine tuning which students to send to which opportunities, it gets really helpful in getting the right kids there. Diesel Day, we had a couple of weeks ago, awesome interactions with students and the people who were there. It was an amazing event. Diesel Day held up at Weber State, Design Build Day at Weber State was the same way. I taught all my CTE directors how to pull a report to find kids with an aptitude for architecture, engineering, construction, and design. And so that gave them a much bigger group of students to invite than just the kids who raise their hand and don't want to be in school that day. And so the interactions we started seeing with the employers were so much better this year using that data than they were last year. I mean, I just couldn't believe the conversations I was seeing, and the employers noticed too. They could tell a difference from year to year on the quality of student that was coming through those career days. Bottom line is we really want to give our students confidence and hope in the future. There was a study out of Georgia a few years ago. They were looking at several different career guidance platforms, and U-Science was one of those. And when they finished the pilot, what they found was statistically significant improvement in 5 key areas: self-awareness, self-empowerment, intent to persist, career exploration, and decision-making. And again, what that really boils down to is providing that confidence and hope in the future. When we get student feedback that looks like this: I love this. No one ever told me I was good at anything. I didn't even know these careers existed, or I didn't know I had the talent to do something like this. That's when you're making a change in your students and helping them see their potential and how they can achieve their potential. Now, this is not just for career guidance. Sometimes my core teachers tune out and think this is not for them. And the reality is there's so much available in U-Science for every teacher, every counselor, everyone at the school. What I like to refer to is this 20 and 2. If you're an administrator, teacher, some sort of educator at the school, always have U-Science minimized on your computer screen. And if you have a student come in and needs to talk to you about something, take 20 seconds to pull up their account, solve their problem, and then before they walk out, have a quick 1 or 2 minute conversation with them, telling them how awesome they are. I'm going to show you how this works. So you quickly go to your admin dashboard, type in the student's name, click on their name, and you're in. It takes less than 20 seconds. Then you can find any statement in their profile. It doesn't matter which one you pick, they're all positive. But you can say, hey, Kelly, before you leave, I was looking at your U-Science results. I noticed you're a list checker like me. You're really good at catching errors in your work. Did you know that if you take breaks, it actually helps you a little bit better when you're studying? You might want to try that. Or you could say, hey, Kelly, I was looking at your U-Science results. I noticed that you're really good with patterns and numbers. It says you might like number or word games. Have you ever tried Wordle? I mean, that's less than 2 minutes, but all of a sudden you've made a personal connection with a student. And imagine how they walk out of your office feeling light as air because you've made that connection. Going back to that 80%, that middle section of students, trying to find a way to connect with them, this makes it very easy. All the positive stuff is there. You just got to pull it out and tell it to the student. One of the things I love about U-Science and U-Science BrightPath is the connection with everybody at the school. A lot of times, you know, we get in our silos, counseling, we have our CTE, we have our admins. But the cool thing is U-Science gives you a common foundation to pull the information you need, whether it's special ed pulling what they need or counselors pulling what they need, CTE pulling something over here. You're going to all use the foundation of U-Science for different reasons. But where it gets really powerful is when you start using that information to work together and find ways to have common interactions with each other and with the students. All right, you guys, I went through that really, really fast to try and get you back on track, but please feel free to jot down either my email address or Paul Ashby. Paul Ashby is our customer success manager here in Utah. He does a lot of training, and so if you would like to know more and want to get up and running, just give him a call or shoot him an email and he will get you trained and up and running immediately. If you need a bigger picture presentation, feel free to reach out to me. I do things like this all day long. And then Cam is actually working with all of our employers in the area and getting them involved in employer connections. So if there's any questions, I'll just look in the chat for a few minutes so that you guys can get back on track. Otherwise, we look forward to talking to you and working with you guys.
Kelly, there was a DM in the chat. Excuse me. They were asking, what is the cost to participate?
Great question. So it's free because it's all paid for by the legislature for all of our public schools right now. So if you are on this call, you're a charter school, you are covered under that. So call us up and we'll get you started immediately.
Awesome. Thank you.
And I'm done, so you guys can go on, Marie.
All right.
Thank you for the.
Kelly, that was awesome. I'm like, I want to go take the aptitude test too. So
You know what? And all of you can have accounts. So if you want one, shoot me. I'll put my email in the chat. but I'm happy to get you one sent out to you. So you're all eligible for one.
Awesome. It better say like charter school support, right?
Well, sometimes it's different, but we all have sliding doors in our lives. So if I had
Love it.
gone by my aptitudes back then, I would be in construction right now. And I wish I'd known that back then.
How fun. Awesome. Well, thank you, Kelly. That was a really cool program and a really great. Hopefully some of our charters will take advantage of that. That looks awesome.
Thank you, you guys. I'm going to zip out and let you move on. See you later.
All right. Well, next up we have Rick Gaisford here and Brooke Hatch, if Brooke is on as well. And they are going to be talking about strategy 4B, and they'll fill us in on what that is from the SBE. So Rick, we'll turn the time over to you.
Well, thank you, Marie. I appreciate that. Rick Gaisford, the Education Technology Specialist here at the Utah State Board of Education. And I am here to talk to you about Portrait of a Graduate, which is what Strategy 4B is. Strategy 4B is the State Board of Education's master plan. And let me just slide this slide right here to the middle here so that you should be able to see that. This is just a brief request that we have. You may have seen some emails that have come from us. And for those of you who have responded, thank you very much. This is just a little bit of a nudge for those that may not have yet completed the survey. Strategy 4B covers in the State Board of Education's master plan covers the Portrait of a Graduate. And it is our goal as the team that is working on that to really find out where districts and schools are at as it relates to a portrait of a graduate. Do you have one? Do you plan to have one? Do you not plan to have one? If you are going to have one, are you going to use the Portrait of a Graduate that the state put together a number of years ago with its associated competencies and rubrics? Or is it a goal of your school in that to create your own Portrait of a Graduate? A synonymous term for Portrait of a Graduate might also be Portrait of a Learner, where you might take a subset of that, particularly if you are in a school that is an elementary school or an elementary and middle school, and you don't have students that actually graduate from your school. Maybe doing a Portrait of a Learner or would be something that you might want to consider. The reason that we're asking for this request is twofold. One, we would like to know where every LEA in the state is, what their thoughts are on a Portrait of a Graduate or Portrait of a Learner. And two is to support you in those efforts if you are going to be creating your own, to make sure that you have the resources that you need to be able to do that, or any other additional assistance that you may need from us. So we would be able to do that. To be able to access this is our simple, and I'm going to put this also in the, let's see if I can find the chat now. I've just sent out into the chat a link to the survey. And the survey is just a few questions that will ask you what your plans are. And if you're going to do your own, if you're going to do the state, or whether you're not going to do one. There is no correct answer to this. It is simply a survey. The reason that I'm here today is simply to make this request that you fill out this survey as soon as possible. That will help us as a small team at the state office to have fewer phone calls that we would need to make to reach out to you personally to see what your school might be doing in this area. And with that, Marie, that is really it. We're here to talk about Portrait of a Graduate, the survey, and give you the link one more time. You should have seen that link come through on several different emails, two from Ryan Bartlett, on the weekly LEA head list that you receive information from. And we also sent it out through the charter school list leaders recently as well. With that, I would take any questions that you might have, or I can get you really back onto your schedule.
Awesome. And hopefully we can save you on some phone calls here, Rick.
That is the goal, because Rick doesn't like telephones very well. So
Rick is a millennial at heart in that case.
You got that part right. So,
That's great. I don't see any questions in the chat.
well, with that, then I will stop my share and thank you very much, all of you, for giving me just a few minutes of your time. And I know this is just one more thing of so many things that you have, but would really appreciate any help that you can give us by completing the survey if you've not already done so. If you have already done the survey, do not do it again. That's okay. We only need it one time. Okay. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you, Rick. Have a good afternoon.
You too.
Thanks. All right. Well, if you looked carefully at the agenda, you'll see that the last bit of our meeting is kind of a flexible section. And we left it open for questions and answers or topics you want to discuss as we head into summer break with the State Charter School Board staff. I did send out a Menti where you could add in any topics you want to discuss or specific questions. So I will go ahead and throw that up here. I saw there was a couple in there. You can still add things if you would like. And then once we get through that, if anybody wants to stay on and talk as well, we can. Otherwise, we will probably end early and you can go and have a great afternoon. Are you seeing the Menti right now? No. Okay, let me try that again because I don't think that worked. Screen.
I saw it, Murray.
Oh, it did work. Okay. Yes, now?
It is saying topics I want to discuss, certifications.
Okay, and then so up at the top, it says go to www.menti.com. And then there's a code 37670646. And of course, if there's nothing you want to discuss, you are also welcome to hop off. But if you want to stay on, and with that, you can add anything you want to discuss. And it will just pop up here into this word cloud. The only one that we had that came through already was certifications. So just to clarify what the expectation, okay, there goes one, policies for next year. Awesome. So you can just add things in there while we're talking. If you go to the next slide, I don't know if it'll let you at this point or not, but then the next slide, it lets you ask questions as well. So certifications, I can take that, or I know Dr. Evans is on the call. I don't know, Dr. Evans, if you want to take that, or I can take that one.
I don't know what to say about it, right? What's the question, I guess, about certifications?
Like, what happened to them? Why are we not doing them? Do you want to answer that? Do you want me to do that?
No, that's fine. I can answer that. So we are roping a lot of this into our comprehensive reviews and looking at data that we have access to, rather than requiring the governing board chairs or the directors to go in and fill out a form when it's data that we should be able to get other ways. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Murray, can I just add a little to that?
Oh, please go ahead.
I want to make sure that we don't get these confused with the annual assurances. So every LEA in the state has to give certain assurances with USBE. Those are still happening. You still have to do those. The certification that William was talking about are the things that the State Charter School Board did to try and assess is your governing board governing. We're trying to decrease the amount of work that you guys have to do. And we decided we didn't need to gather that through certification. So we have eliminated that. And you do not need to do those, but do make sure that you do the annual assurances for USBE.
That's a good clarification. Thank you, Dr. Lambert. Okay, then policies for next year. I'm assuming maybe this one is talking about the policies campaign, maybe that was happening. So I don't know if.
Marie, that was me. This is Chris down in
Oh,
Vista.
awesome. Yeah.
Hey, this was just in regards to the legislative session. I know that I don't know if it was Greg Connell or somebody at the State Charter School Board was kind of making sure we have all of our policies and procedures in place. So I know that there's going to be a whole bunch of new policies required next year. So I'm just wondering if we're going to have a list kind of like he made earlier for us, or how that's gonna work.
Perfect. Okay, yeah, and I think that that also then ties in with that campaign that was happening, that was looking at all of the policies that schools currently had in place. I don't know, Jennifer, do you want the performance team, or do you want to take that one? Okay, yeah, I'm like, any of us can speak to that, but.
In terms of policies, we have done trainings on that and provided resources, and we consider that campaign finished. So you don't have to worry about doing any kind of reporting on that. But we're trying to help you make sure that you have the right policies and you have everything you need. So it's a good question. It's a good topic, Chris. And as you alluded to, it changes every year, and it doesn't seem that policies ever get really taken away. They just get added. And what we tried to do along with USBE, so USBE, now that the legislative session has ended, they're busy into rulemaking, and if there's policies required, hopefully they'll have that in the rule. And then we go through and we do try to provide information and update that according as we can tell and assess, and we do provide that as a document, but that's something that we haven't updated yet.
Thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so I'll go to the next slide then. I didn't see any other ones coming through. Specific questions I want addressed. So this one was, when will satellite applications be available? I can take this one if you want, and then if anyone wants to add anything. So currently right now, with the board rule R277552, that made some changes to the satellite and expansion process for all authorizers. And so with that, that goes into effect, I believe, at the end of this week. And so once that goes into effect, then we will be putting forward the updates to our process that are in alignment with the updates to the board rule. And so once we turn that in, then USBE has a certain amount of time that then they can approve our process, or else they'll say, actually, no, there's some changes you need to make. And so then it either goes, an approval by USBE, and then we can reopen that process, or else they'll say, here's some changes you need to make, and we'll go back and forth until that process is approved by USBE and is what the State Charter School Board wants that process to be for the schools that we authorize. And so at this point, the magic crystal ball doesn't have an exact date and time, but we're hoping, to get that process submitted and approved as quickly as we can, but it will likely not be this next application cycle. And so that is, we are waiting on that approval from USBE because of the changes to R277552. So at this time, expansion applications and satellite applications are not able to be accepted by the State Charter School Board. Jennifer, do you want to add anything to that?
So on Thursday, the State Charter School Board is considering a few adjustments to our procedures policy. There was a statute that was passed in this most recent session, SB 65, that said any authorizer that authorizes 10 or more charter schools, we authorize more than 10 charter schools, that we have to adopt a process substantially similar to the administrative rules process. Our process was already pretty similar. There was just a few adjustments that we are recommending to make it substantially similar, almost exactly the same as the administrative rules process. We wanted to get that in place so that we're following that process for any other adjustments that we're making that we need to make in order to match what is now required of satellite. So we're trying to do things so that it is according to what statute and rule is recently been adjusted. The downside of that is it unfortunately does take time. And I don't, it might be difficult this year. We might be later than we would normally want to be able to meet those regular timelines. So we're going to have to think about what that means and what to do about that. But unfortunately, this is where we're at, and it's just where we're stuck. There was required changes to our process, at the same time happening required changes to the satellite application and how that process goes about. And so since it all came together at the same time, it's kind of like this perfect storm. And it makes this round of satellite applications somewhat difficult to manage in terms of timeline.
All right, any other questions that anyone wants to submit on Menti? We also don't have to use Menti. I was trying some new technology. You know, never stop learning, right? We can also ask them in the chat box or just unmute. We're all friends here. Otherwise, that's it for our meeting. And you've got almost a full hour and a half back to work on whatever else you need to do today. So we'll give it a minute, see if any other questions come through. All right, well, we wish you a wonderful and happy summer, and hope that you end the year safe, healthy, and well. And we will see you in August. Please reach out, even though we don't have directors meetings, we are all still here. We work all summer long. So if you need anything, of course, we are happy to help and to support you. So we're just an email or a phone call away. So happy to help and support in any way that we can. So have a good afternoon, everyone.